The title of our talk is The Sensory Systems of the North Atlantic Right Whale, Their Roles in Migration and Foraging Strategies, and Implications on Conservation Efforts. My co-author is Ms. Delaney Jones, who will be presenting a poster on the same topic. Content from this presentation can be shared via social media outlets. Both Kenny et al. 2001 and Torres in 2017 discuss sensory systems as they relate to the distance scale in which they are most important for the task at hand. For example, microscale distances would engage those senses involved in foraging, nursing young, and surface active groups. Meso and regional scales would engage those senses involved in locating prey and conspecifics, while basin scales require those senses most important for long-distance travel and migration. We'll present our current understanding of the North Atlantic right whale sensory systems, or its proxy species, from the microscale and working out to basin scales. At the microscale, we focus mainly on those senses important for foraging, notably vision, taste, and touch. All mesoscete whales, including right whales, lack cone-based vision due to mutations in the cone visual pigment gene, leaving them with only rod photoreceptors for vision. The right whale rod visual pigment has evolved to match the transmission spectrum of the light available in their environment, which is in the blue-green region of the visible spectrum. So while a human would see a red copepod against a green background, a right whale would perceive the background as bright, and anything outside of the spectral sensitivity of the visual pigment would appear dark, like red copepods. While the rod-based eye of the right whale is great at capturing photons of light, the acuity or resolution of the visual field is greatly reduced. The five basic taste modalities are sour, sweet, bitter, salt, and umami. Relaxation of the selective pressures on taste genes, as indicated by the red circles in the figure here from Zhu et al., have relegated all cetaceans, most likely including the right whales, to lack a sense of taste. While cetaceans maintain the genes associated with salt reception, these receptors are relegated to the kidney and most likely function in sodium reabsorption rather than the perception of tasting salt. With regards to touch, the North Atlantic right whale possesses an arrangement of fine hairs on the rostrum and chin that Murphy et al. Suggests may be used for hydrodynamic sensing during feeding. These hairs may function in close-range discrimination of prey density. As described previously, the tongue lacks taste reception, but Worth and Crompton suggest that the tongue likely retains tactile abilities. So while the tongue of the right whale is integral in creating a Bernoulli and Venturi flow, it may also be a tactile prey sensor during foraging. As the distance scales increase from microscale to mesoscale, a likely sensory perception capable of detecting prey at distance of kilometers and possibly even tens of kilometers, depending on the size of the prey patch, is olfaction. Unlike odontocetes, who lack an olfactory bulb and olfactory tract, the mysticete whales have retained these structures and are assumed to possess a sense of smell, albeit with fewer receptors compared to their terrestrial relatives. Threesen and Kishida hypothesized that the bowhead whale uses olfaction to detect conspecifics and prey that contain odorants such as dimethyl sulfide or DMS. An interesting experiment shown in this slide was conducted by Bouchard et al. In 2019, where they released krill extract, DMS, or control chemicals upwind of humpback whales in either breeding or foraging grounds in Iceland, Madagascar, and Antarctica. Results from this study observed whales approaching and remaining longer in the trial zones when krill extract was released, suggesting a functional chemosensory system in this species. Also, a study by Ryan et al. This year suggests that paired nares of baleen whales have the potential for stereo olfaction, which would increase their ability to localize prey. Finally, regarding regional to basin scales, Kenny et al. Suggested that navigational mechanisms may include topography, the sun, magnetism, ocean currents, and sounds. Visual perception of landmarks, both coastal and underwater, as well as celestial navigation by the night sky, are unlikely due to low resolution vision and relatively short depth of focus associated with right whale vision. Horton et al. Examined long-distance migrations in humpback whales that may help us understand the north-south migration in the North Atlantic right whale with regards to sensory perception. Route fidelities, as shown in this figure, were reported to depend more on gravitational and lunar cues than on magnetic cues. However, magnetic inclination was reported to be a strong indicator of route fidelity as well. While magnetic reception continues to be of great interest as a possible sense involved in migration, primary magnetic receptors and their transduction into a neural signal continue to elucidate us. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at the conference.